Beginning my student teaching semester, I had a million questions for my cooperating teacher. And one of the things I remember really being intrigued by was when she would talk about home visits, or she would say something about the student, and I would be like, how do you know that? And she'd be like, oh, well, during home visits. So I always knew that this school did that, but I didn't realize it's only Ware that does that. And I think it's great. Last night, I paired up with another kindergarten teacher, and I had a list of my students that were color-coded with the map of where they live on post, and she had her map, and we drove from house to house with a little bag of goodies. They don't know that they have been given me as a teacher, so I just have to say, I'm your kindergarten teacher, it's really great to meet you. But it really gives you a good look into the child's life if you can just see a peek through their front door.
I have currently just finished a lot of my to-do list, and my to-do list is still a mountain. It's really frustrating because I feel like I've done so much, but I still have a lot left to do. And I know that getting it done before my kids arrive for back to school night is going to be completely insane.
I'm excited to get the class list, to put name tags on the desks. As minimal as that sounds, there's a few finishing touches that I want to do in my room, and then next week I'm really going to try and hit it hard with lesson plans going and having my first 3 days nailed down, as well as, just different fun activities. So really organizing that and getting it all concrete.
Right now, we are all handling open house. We have tons of forms that all these parents have to sign. It's been crazy. We got flooded with children, but it was great. And I'm really excited now getting to meet a lot of my students. It's awesome to see who I'm gonna be teaching for the next year. So all my students are here, they're ready. I just need to know if I am. I mean, look at this room. Does this room look like the room of somebody who's ready? Because no, it does not.
Tonight was open house, and I don't think any amount of preparation could have prepared me for this evening. I thought I was really well prepared, and I thought I was really organized, and then I had 20 families come in all at once and bombard me, and it was awesome, but it was also really terrifying at the same time. I also didn't realize how many parents kept their children off ADD and ADHD medicine over the summer, so I had a lot of rambunctious friends running around my classroom tonight, but that is okay, because we will talk about rules and procedures and make sure that everything will hopefully go a little bit smoother on the first day.
Well, it's the first day of school. It's about 6:35 and I am ready to take on some kids. Here we go. Here's my classroom. All ready to go with the agenda. Students brought their book bags in on Sunday. I'm feeling quite nervous. I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to be a teacher. Here we go.
So today was the first day of school, and I am exhausted. We just really talked a lot about rules and procedures, but I tried to keep it light and fun, and we did some fun team building things. We came up with our own classroom handshake, and that was really entertaining to watch.
Well, day one is complete as a first-year teacher. It went a lot better than I expected. We did a lot of group activities with other sixth grade classes, so that was nice. I love my students and cannot express how much going over rules and procedures is gonna take for these kids. Definitely have some strong readers in the group, lots of students that want to be here, but also some of those ornery boys that I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with them. But I look forward to the challenge, and I'm gonna go get some sleep. It's almost 9 o'clock and I am needing some energy for tomorrow. So see you then.
Oh my gosh!
Today was really hard. My first day of teaching ever. And it's kindergarten, so it's not only my first time, but it's their first time ever coming to school. Sitting in your chair, that's foreign. Raising your hand, not a clue what that is. Not talking all the time. You can't just get up and leave. Who knew? And the joke of the morning was, if your first day of kindergarten, you don't lose anybody and nobody dies, you have a good day, and I almost freaking lost one. So I sent a little girl home on the bus that shouldn't have been on the bus. The bus was taking her to her home address that we have here on file. She doesn't live at the house that we have the address for. Her mom now lives with friends, and she's not supposed to ever go back to the house she lives at. And I sent her to that house because I put her on the bus. We found her, things are fine, but like things like that, that made the day worse than I felt like it already was, because I thought I lost a student. It is what it is, I guess. As I've like sat here thinking like, what could I have done better? I realized that there is no way I could have been prepared for what today was. Yeah, today was hard. My name is Becky Brady, and I'm from Wichita, Kansas. I have two parents, Pat and Terry, and then I have an older sister, Sarah, and then a younger brother, Steven. My dad runs our family business, Brady Nursery. Since my dad was always at work, we would just go to work with him, and we would occupy our time in the fields or on four-wheelers or good golf cart. But it was us tearing around in it most of the time. It's just been fun growing up, having this family business that I always had a job at, and my whole family was pretty much always here.
Becky has always been a real smiley child, even when she was a little baby, because she was always, happy and friendly to everybody, it seemed like.
In high school, part of the day, one semester, I went to 4th and 5th grade combined classroom where I was just a teacher aide, and that's kind of where I really got into it and really decided that I like this and I'm not horrible at it.
From the minute Becky came in my classroom, she was a natural. I felt like I'd known her her whole life, even though I just met her, because she's just that personality that she interacted well with adults and the students.
I think that the real good teachers, the ones that I've had, the ones that Terry's had, the ones that, Becky's had, they're doing it because they have a passion to do it.
Becky could do anything she set her mind to do. I mean, she could be a doctor, she could be a lawyer, she could be an architect. She is so talented and so bright and so curious about everything. She could be anything she wanted to be.
Not a hot dog, my hot dog.
Well, I thought it was wonderful. Knowing Becky, I'm sure she's going to do well, because she's one of those people that's kind of full of joy. And when people meet her, I think they feel that.
Good afternoon. I survived my second day of teaching today. I always feel like these days can be a little boring, and you gotta spice it up for the kids because you can just see the deadness in their eyes. To liven things up a bit, I decided I was gonna put a little bit of a language arts spin on it, but we were gonna have a snowball fight. Their first instructions were to finish the exposition, and then after that, crumple up their paper. Woo. They loved it. It was so much fun. It just gets me really excited for this year. I really think that these students are gonna work hard for me, and I think that just maybe I might be able to make an impression on them.
Today went a lot better than yesterday did. It wasn't as rough, it wasn't as bumpy. I didn't get a little bit more confidence, definitely more of a sore throat, but that's just from talking all the time. And I definitely had a proud teacher moment today when a kid challenged the rest of the class to be a different 5th grade class because they had previously been bullied and called babies and teased for being the younger kids, and she completely challenged the class to make sure that that was a difference and that was going to be a change, and instead of teasing them, to make sure that he'd be the role models that they need. I just had a lot of really awesome, humbling moments today, and I'm incredibly blessed that these kids are mine for the first year, and I couldn't have asked for a better group of kids to work with.
Hi there. So it is Sunday night right now. I have been up here working at school for just a little bit this evening and kind of just needed to get ready for the week coming up. I've had a lot of time to think over the weekend, and I think the first day of school is so rough that I didn't want to come back on Friday. It was still a hard day. I'm still reminding them that we can't just go home whenever we want, and if you have to say something, you have to raise your hand, and things that we don't think about what kindergartners don't know if they've never been to school before. So I just realized it's going to be a learning process for both of us, and I can't get frustrated at the end of the day if it didn't go how I wanted it to. Things are good. They're going to get better every single day, and they already have. So I'm excited for the rest of the week.
They are a handful. 27 bodies in my homeroom is a lot of hormones, a lot of body odor, but a lot of great personalities that I think are going to make a great school year. I know this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm tired, and I'm ready for tomorrow.
Early on in college, I thought maybe I should look at more diverse public schools. Maybe I should look at lower socioeconomic schools. It wasn't until I started applying that I felt more called to teach in a Catholic school. I've encountered a lot of stereotypes about what the Catholic school system is like. I think the kids are going to behave so much better than public school, and that is definitely not true either. Yes, you know, we have high expectations of our students, but a child is a child, no matter where they go to school.
We have some of the same struggles, whether it's students and their needs, families and their needs, teachers and their needs. You know, we work hard to serve all students, and we serve all families. But what makes us different is how we infuse Catholic values into it. The values that we think are so important for our students to learn.
Another stereotype I would say is how awful the uniforms are. But I think it's great. I'm a firm believer of uniforms. And that also resonates back to we are all one.
Because we're a family. A family that recognizes and understands, but still embraces the challenges that they have.
We come from a very, very tight-knit family. My brother and I were very close just because we both had interest in basketball and in sports. And then my sister, she's 2 years older than me, so we would do a lot of things together. My mom was actually a teacher. She taught high school math out in western Kansas and then in Bueller. My dad is a very hardworking man, and even when he would come home from a long day at work, he would ask us about our day. They really showed that they cared about each one of us. Whenever we were growing up, I'd always play school in my classroom.
You would go up to her bedroom and she would be teaching her pretend people and writing on the windows. And I would have to knock on the door. Then she would do, just a moment, please. So, well, maybe you could send your children to recess and you could come down. Just a moment, please.
I had a great band teacher in high school who not only taught us how to be better musicians, but also better people. He would always give 110% and never settle for mediocrity.
The first time I met Bridget was as an 8th grader at Prairie Hills Middle School. She always stuck out because of her work ethic. She was always surrounded by people because of that work ethic, and not only that, is that she's a huge people person. Whatever she thought that she lacked, she worked twice as hard than most kids. I always knew that she was going to go to greater things. I think the greatest compliment that I could ever give to Bridget is that I would trust her with my own children.
He was a great role model, and I really took, I think, a lot of his values of seeing, how much work ethic pays off in life, how much dedication and passion to the profession he had, and demonstrated that teachers play a significant role in every student's life.
I'll give you the light of the moon and a ship to sail across the ocean. Come join me soon. I'll be waiting and waiting, but don't make me wait too long. I'll give you the colors of the rainbow and every color in between. I'll give you it all. My number, my key, a house by the turning sea.
Today we are doing an awesome lesson where we're looking at culture quilts. I gave them a piece of paper, and on that they are going to put down pictures, quotes, words, drawings, anything that really represents their culture. And it's really awesome to see what some of the students have already come up with, even though they've only had about 20 minutes to work on it before encores. So if you look, you can see they've already started putting flags of their nationalities from where they were born. Got tons of stuff. Everybody's got markers left out. Got pictures of families being drawn. Over here, we got favorite foods. Somebody way in the back. They love their music, so they've got their phone. It's just really awesome to see all of the different types of families and backgrounds and interests that these students have. So I really wanted to touch on that and help them grow and learn to understand each other.
I love high-fiving the students every day they come in the door and every day that they leave for school. I think it's a great way to just be positive and be that positive face for them in the morning. Definitely chaotic once the bell rings. That's one thing I'm trying to learn, but like I said, being the positive reinforcement, that positive model for them has been crucial for me and super important, as well as making sure that they know my expectations and procedures. I gave a quiz today on my procedures, and I think some of them were terrified. I made sure to tell them that it's not going to be for a grade and just to do their best, but it's also a great way to help me understand what I need to continue going over with them and what they don't understand. The week has been going by super fast, and I can't believe tomorrow's already Thursday, and then before I know it's going to be the weekend and planning again for the next week. But I'm enjoying it. It's exhausting, but it's definitely a rewarding job, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be. So that's all for tonight from this first year teacher.
One of the things I struggle with a bit is classroom management and learning how I'm going to be an enforcer and not just a friend. That's why I have my desks broken into groups already, so I kind of have them separated a bit. I have like a few classroom management techniques set in stone. I just need to learn how to balance it to where I'm not just letting them be my friend, and I can take that next step. I am a little nervous about it, but I think it'll overall be okay this year.
Let me grab a calendar, okay? We'll talk
It's hard to manage a class of 20 kids that have such strong personalities. I was a talker in school, and I have 20 of me. It's like payback. And that's what I tell parents too. I completely understand. No matter who they put me next to, I was that kid that was going to have, the conversation with 20 other friends. And so I think that, just having that realness with the parents has helped me a lot.
My goal is to simplify my directions and my explanations to add clarity to everything. As a teacher, I would hope that in a month I have them ready to be able to move from their tables to the carpet, to where I just maybe have to say one word or sing one small song and have them be able to do their job and move around our classroom easily without having to go back to our seats and practice because they don't remember where they should go.
I'm loving my students, but they need practice on routines. They need more practice with classroom management. But keep in mind, these are sixth graders, so social is the number one right now.
Most new teachers, one of the biggest things they struggle with their first year is classroom management. If the management is a struggle for you, then it makes it really hard for you to get where you need to be with the content.
And so you can tell when you're in a classroom how well the teacher is able to manage their classroom.
New teachers are no different than first-year students in a classroom. They're trying to learn what's expected of me. And classroom management truly is one of the first things you have to get a hold of and you have to manage. And for some teachers, it's a hard concept.
The things I look for, do they have good transitions? Are kids engaged in the learning? Could they do something a little bit different to get more kids engaged?
We have a tremendous amount of procedures in place for how we approach our instruction and our classroom management. So we put our new teachers through a pretty grueling professional development process with just new teachers, and those things are in place to ensure that the playing field is level.
And then by second year, they figured out all the things they want to do better. So you see tremendous growth in a new teacher over the first year.
My brother and sister went to the Chapman School District, and so I grew up going to volleyball games and band performances and soccer games, and they're just so based around the children. And one thing that really shocked me was how willing our PTO was to help out the school. We don't have a laminator right now, and so PTO is actually buying a new laminator for us and gave each classroom teacher funds to buy things for their classroom. That was one thing that really shocked me because I never realized how much the community actually cares. The demographics of Chapman, most of it is rural country, and so 4-H is a very big presence here. They just had the 4-H fair last week. It's just big in the community, as well as the military. During my interview, I was told that a lot of military have chosen to retire here, and so we have a lot of military kids.
I think because of the military aspect, that's a unique challenge. How do you deal with kids that may be here 2 months and then gone again? And how do you invest your emotional self in those kids? You know, it's one thing to have a kid in and out, but do you make a connection with that child? And so that's a huge one for first-year teachers, trying to relate to those kids that are here and gone again.
I moved to Topeka when I was about 4 or 5. I started kindergarten.
She was always wanting to help others before herself. You could see it at a very young age that she was a helper. I think that growing up, that kind of lifestyle has made her the person that she is today.
It's tough being a single parent, raising children on your own and trying to make sure that they succeed in life. And I haven't given her everything, but I've given what I can with the means that I had. And she's great.
Mom worked a lot, so usually Renee took care of me.
I would always play teacher with my brother and, you know, make him sit there over the summer with my workbooks that were 2 grades above him. It's like, you have to learn these skills.
She kind of helped me see that I wanted to be a teacher.
In my family, I am the first one to attend a major 4-year university. My mom only had like a year or so of college, but things happen. And I'm not sure about my dad. I really didn't grow up with him, and so it was a goal for myself. The moment that I figured out I wanted to be a teacher, I was actually at a high school band competition, and I was in the parking lot, and my mom was like, you know, we're at K-State. What are you thinking that you're gonna do? Are you gonna come here? And I was like, you know, Mom, I think I really wanna teach music. And she was like, all right, let's make that happen. But then as time went on, I realized, you know, I think music's more of a passion, and I don't think I could do it every day of my life. And so I was like, I had the most fun in elementary, and I really, I felt like I found my niche.
As a mom, you want to see your children succeed and have a better life than what you've had. And so that's what I want for her, and, you know, doesn't have to struggle like I did.